only took 2 chords to bring the most distant, mysterious planet in our solar system to life in the absolute most beautiful but terrifying way. We're talking about Neptune. Sorry, Pluto. No, we're talking about Gustav Holst's 1918 work, The Planets. Specifically, the final part of the Planet Suite that'll make you question your entire existence and wind up thinking, you know what? Floating aimlessly in the endless abyss of outer space at the furthest reaches of the solar system, fading into oblivion, might actually be beautiful. It's Holst's idea of Neptune, and just wow. Wow, talk about mysterious and terrifying, but also beautiful. All of those words are pretty perfect for describing what we're hearing. Now, these sounds weren't all but brand new in 1918 when the piece first premiered publicly. And in the years since, it has been almost verbatim copied by many film composers throughout the years, but it is not without its own influences. And dare I say, things that Holst himself actually copied. Hey, if you want to learn how to play the piano, it's literally the key to music. I mean, it helps me do everything you see me do here on the channel in terms of understanding what I'm listening to and being able to just tell you how things are constructed. The piano is the key to all of that. And if you want to learn to play, or if you've been thinking about learning to play, well, now is the time for you, because my Intro to Piano course is currently 30% off. That's under $100. You get the entire thing. Pay for it once, keep it forever. It is chock full of everything you need to get started playing this instrument. And it's all the stuff that I wanted to put together because it's the way that I would have wanted to be taught if I was starting now. Anything that was confusing to me as a student growing up and whatnot, like these are all the ways where I've been like eventually in my music career. At one point I was just went, oh, that's what that is. Every moment that I've had for me is in this course. I wanted to make learning the piano as easy as possible so that you can start doing more of what I do, which is listen to music all over the place and just be like, wow, this is amazing. It goes like this. Use the link in the description and at checkout plug in code LEARNPiano30 to get that 30% off the course. It's the way I support this channel. You may notice I don't really do the traditional YouTube sponsor thing on this channel. I just kind of felt like it would be cooler if I made something that was from me, that was specifically built to help you and to help you do what I do, to help you learn how to play this instrument. Maybe you've been thinking about learning it. Maybe you've always wanted to learn it. You just haven't known where to start. This is the place to start. So use the link in the description, go get 30% off, use code LEARNPiano30. It's the best way to support the channel. I'm super grateful for your support. Thank you so much. Let's keep going. I mean, just listen to the beginning of this. I'm in a new place, by the way. We'll be back to normal soon, but there is something incredibly beautiful and kind of dissonant and terrifying going on here. And it all comes down to 2 chords, E minor and G sharp minor. Holst used these 2 chords almost on top of each other, in fact, sometimes literally on top of each other, to create this incredibly mysterious sound. Now, why does this work so well? If we have the general palette of G sharp minor, well, that can kind of feel like a home base. Yeah, sure. Well, if we were going to do the typical thing when we drop down from G sharp minor down to E, we normally expect this chord to be major, right? This is a very common sound, right? You can think of 1,000 different things that sound exactly like that. But what happens when you take that E chord and instead of playing it major like this, what if we play it minor? Whoa, it takes on a whole different life. There's another place that we're definitely gonna hear it. We're gonna get to that. A place that you're gonna be like, it's that obvious? One other thing to point out about this transition from here to here as like a resolution is it almost works really well as a resolution. And that's because there are a couple of notes in here that are going to like, there's a common tone and then the other 2 notes in the chord. If we're going triad to triad, there's 1 common tone and then 2 half-step resolutions, which anytime we can have half-step resolutions in there, it really kind of creates a nice sort of compelling motion that wants to drive home. Because tell me that this doesn't sound Like it's a resolution that just makes sense. Now, it shouldn't make sense. This is not typically how we would resolve to a minor chord, but because of the notes that we're actually using, it actually does work really well. Here's what I mean. If we have an E minor chord, that consists of E, G, and B. That's the 1, the flat or minor 3, and 5, okay? And if we want to use this chord to move to G sharp minor, the first thing that we're gonna ask ourselves is, well, are there any notes in G sharp minor that are shared with E minor, right? So E, G, and B make up E minor, and then G sharp minor consists of G sharp, B, and D sharp. And immediately we can see that, yes, B is shared between those two chords. Okay, cool. So we know we have a B. Well, that's great. What if we actually build the chord around B? We'll use a different inversion of E minor. And now we're just gonna keep that B right there. And then what do we have to do to get the other notes in G sharp minor? Well, we know we need G sharp, okay? Well, we can go right from our G to G sharp. Well, that's just a half step. That works nicely. And then the other note we need is D sharp. Well, we're on E in the E minor chord. Can't we just drop that by a half step and make it D sharp? You betcha. So we have these two notes that kind of move apart from each other, just like that, right? Now this is where we're gonna get this ultra compelling resolution. This is why this works so well. What we've just discovered is that, yes, it's a weird resolution, but it's not that weird. Oh, music is cool. Okay, anyways, this is of course all part of a 1918 7-part orchestral suite written by Gustav Holst called The Planets. There's 8 parts, there's not 9 because Pluto, it hadn't been demoted. It hadn't even been discovered yet in 1918, and then it was demoted. So at the time, the darkest, most distant, mysterious planet that we had discovered was Neptune. And we didn't know a whole lot about it, at least by today's standards. We just knew it was really big, really far away, and blue. We didn't know why it was blue, it was just blue. And Neptune is actually the ending of the entire thing, and it is fascinating because it's just so beautiful, yet terrifying in its own way. Whoa! That's a G sharp minor chord, and the brass comes in playing what sounds like, I think it's an A minor chord over top of each other. Like, are you kidding me? Listen to that crunch. That's wild. That is so cool. And of course, Neptune is just one part of the entire suite. I actually made a whole video about the planets. That was a few years ago now. And one of the things I pointed out in that video is that John Williams kind of just jacked the entire planet suite and used it for Star Wars. In fact, so much so that the original idea that George Lucas had was to use Mars as the theme, or one of the themes. I forget exactly how that went, but there was a discussion to actually use Holst's work. And so it only stands to reason that John Williams's work would have been heavily influenced by Holst. And this is so interesting because, like, again, just this harmonic relationship, like, is there anything that we can think of that sounds exactly like that? How about like, for real, it's the same exact harmonic motion. And Neptune takes on a few different emotions throughout the piece. And for a while, we're lingering on this really mysterious, haunting harmonic space. This harmony, this E minor to G sharp minor, it's very unsure. It leaves us feeling kind of unsettled. Like we talked about, it does have that sort of resolution, but it's not incredibly, like, obvious. It's almost like, it's like a, I don't know, it's like a kid's movie where they find some secret cave and they kind of go in with this flashlight that you know is going to stop working in the middle of the scene. Oh, you know, almost like John Williams wasn't the only one to straight up jack Gustav Holst's entire game. And look, this is just how music works, and it's not a bad thing, and that's kind of the whole idea here. It's a fascinating thing to think about, but like there's no way to develop a new sound without fundamentally influenced, at least in some capacity, by the things that came long before it. Or in Holst's case, maybe not that long at all. Let's dial it back to 1897. Just 20 years before Holst would finish writing The Planets, Claude Debussy was in the midst of working on a 3-part orchestral suite called Nocturnes. And it sounds like this. Hold up. Wait. What does that remind me of? It's reminding me of something. Oh, what is that? What is that? Dude. What is that? I know what it is! Look at this, look at this, look at this! No way! That's it! Oh man, I don't know if this was like, I don't know if Stephen Sondheim meant to do that or not, but like, wow, those are remarkably similar. Even with that inner voice movement, the counterpoint going on there, wow! This is just proving my point. I mean, nothing is new. There is nothing new. And you know what? I don't care. You shouldn't care because it's all great. Anyways, back to Debussy. So the third movement of Nocturnes is called Sirens, and it features an incredibly unique orchestral tool that hadn't really been used in quite this way at the time. Sirens utilizes a women's choir with no lyrics, just like wordless vowels. Which, if we're alluding to Greek mythology, that makes perfect sense. I mean, literal sirens. And it's so amazing how Debussy used the choir as another instrument, not as lyrics over top of the orchestral accompaniment. This is kind of a key factor of what made this such a unique tool. Now you may be thinking, okay, well, what does this have to do with Holst and the planets? Well, here's the thing. We continued developing this mysterious palette as the harmony kind of remains ambiguous, and it gives us this sort of unknown, terrifying feeling, but with hints of almost like a blissful beauty, right? Oh, listen to that. And then, yeah, and then we get these like interesting resolutions, and then it goes back to dissonance, and then we get a resolution, but it's a resolution that we're not expecting, and then we move, we change complete harmonic centers here. Oh, that mysterious palette starts to fade away, and then we get a new section that starts to introduce this rising motif, right? Like we're ascending almost into the heavens. Listen to that, listen to that. But then, sneaking in very subtly, those are voices. Those are voices way up top, holding out a G as the harmony moves around below it. Oof. That's it. One note. One note. Nothing's changing. We're still there on that single note as the rest of the orchestra's moving around. Now watch this. Right there. This is a key point in this entire piece because we have just made sort of a transition from ultra mysterious in the beginning to, well, now there's an air of curiosity almost, right? And then right there's a crescendo in the voices. There's a crescendo in the orchestra, and we make a switch. Did you hear it? Listen again. Right there. We've now moved to this sort of E-flat dominant space. And now we develop this more, it's a more mysterious palette. But this is very beautiful now. We've switched from mysterious with minor chords layered on top of each other, and just listen to this. Even that right there. And now we get voices. Just like in the Debussy from 20 years earlier. This is, for me, like, this is what makes Neptune such an incredible piece. And the fact that this is the ending of the whole thing. And there were instances where during performances, Neptune was left out. And sometimes performances would end on Jupiter, because Jupiter is this big, epic saga, right? And it has a very definitive ending. And it makes sense as an ending, but Holst very specifically didn't like when that would happen. Because for him, so much of what this suite meant was to end on this era of mysteriousness. Something that within Neptune itself, from the beginning, we get this terrifying, harmonically ambiguous, very dark layering of like, we literally have like E minor and G sharp minor on top of each other. And then by the time we're done, we have this quiet, blissful fading into oblivion, and that is exactly what we do. Check this out. So we get one last hint of like, hey, by the way, we're floating at the edge of the literal solar system. It doesn't get much more edge of oblivion than this, just in case you forgot. Come on. Tell me that doesn't sound like a Star Wars transition theme, right? Oh, and the entrance of those voices sounds terrifying, but then immediately gives way to this beautiful, lifting, ascending theme once again. Oh, wow, okay, so that's like a D dominant, or I'm sorry, F dominant. Oh, is that what's going on? So we have an F dominant chord going to E6, right? Come on. And then this is what happens at the end. This is how the entire Planet Suite ends. This mysterious yet beautiful harmony fades into nothing. And it just keeps going until there's nothing left. It is absolutely brilliant. Depending on the concert venue, they would do this in a few different ways. There could either be a door between the audience and the choir that was gradually closed, or if the opportunity presented itself, literally send the choir walking down a hallway into another room and then close the door. And eventually they're just too far away for the audience to hear. And that's the ending of the entire suite. I mean, it's stunning, and it kind of gives us this feeling of like, yes, it's over, but we feel this just calm, this almost blissful beauty that might for a moment make us forget that, oh right, we're now drifting at the edge of the solar system in complete oblivion. I was super excited about this. I had to share it with you. That's all for today. I hope you enjoyed this video, and we will see you in the next one.